Manus flat on the canvas. We are ready to rock and roll. Second round of action. There is a cut on Manus.
Yeah. Jesus.
Martial arts chat.
My man B-Hop got dropped out the ring last night. I need a little judo baby. I need me a little judo baby, and let's do it, Ron. Let's hit me up.
You see you were filming this, you've got a face for radio.
I've got a face for radio.
That's nice.
Martial arts chat.
Hello, welcome to the Martial Arts Chat podcast. The Roundtable returns and we're looking ahead to UFC 244 in Madison Square Garden. This is the BNF title bout between Jorge Masvidal and Nate Diaz. Later in the show, answer your fan questions with another cracking panel lined up. But before I introduce tonight's panel, first just a quick shout out to our sponsors, A1 Fight Gear. A1 Fight Gear use the latest cutting edge boxing gloves for professional and amateur fighters, gym enthusiasts and kickboxers. So local and national gyms in the UK, do yourselves a favour, check out a1fightgear.com. If you want to get in shape, get back in shape, or just keep trimming the fat off, go to beastgear.co.uk and use the coupon code MartialArtsChat. If you do that, you'll save 15% off your purchases. They've got all sorts, man. Core sliders, straps, barbell pads, strength and conditioning programs, all at different levels to suit your needs. Beast your goals with beastgear.co.uk. We're also sponsored by Feel Supreme. FeelSupreme.co.uk offers CBD oil and natural nutrition. They will assist your progress in diet and lifestyle, natural supplements and complementary services such as yoga, mind coaching and weight cutting programs. And finally, we're also sponsored by World of Martial Arts Television. WOMA.tv produces, finds, acquires, commissions and presents all you ever wanted to know about martial arts. And so to our panel here this evening, returning to the show, it's been far too long, man, from purely MMA. It's Mr. Matthew Penny. Matthew, how you doing, sir?
It's a pleasure to be on again, mate. It has been a little while, and thanks for having me on for arguably the biggest card of the year. Should be good fun.
Yeah, man, no doubt. Making his debut from Battles Magazine, it's Mr. Steve Beale. Steve, how you doing, sir?
Hey, guys. Thanks ever so much for having me on today. Whenever I've listened to the podcast before, everyone sounded terribly clued up. So please be white belt gentle with me.
There you go, man. And from Greta Thunberg to Bubbles the Chimp, this guy brings all the chat, man. Mick's Martial Arts podcast on. It's Mr. Mick Tully. How you doing, my friend?
I'm wonderful. I've had a great day at the theatre and some fine cuisine with the wife. And I just got back to find out that my boy Rory McDonald got decisioned horrifically, man. Yeah. So I'm actually in mourning at the moment. I feel like Ben Askren at the moment. I'm questioning. You know, should I carry on? Should I get my hair cut? You know, should I do the world a favour and do a bit of a Michael Hutchins tribute act or something? I don't know. Fuck. But yeah, I'm all good apart from that. Yeah, I'm great.
Awesome stuff. He should have his hair like Michael Hutchins. Yeah.
Hey, you know what I mean? Love will never tear us apart. It will do if you take all those poppers, kid.
As he's tied that tie far too tight at Michael Hutchins.
Believe it,
was
man.
that true, by the way? Was that just the rumour that went round, or was it the old asphyxie wank? Is that what happened with him?
Oh, he went full Chai Kwan Kane on that, man. He went full David Carradine on that. Fuck. Oh yeah, and before the end of the show, I'll tell you my story about myself and David Carradine, man. That is one of the best stories I think I've got, and it's scarily all true. That's the best part of it all.
Well, if you're streaming this, don't skip to the end, man. Hear us out first. I'm looking forward to this as well.
Slow burner, man. Slow burner.
Guys, 3 fights I want to get into before we look at fan questions. A rising star in the UFC right now is my man, Mr. Johnny Walker, and he kicks things off in this main card. Gets the toughest test to date, in my opinion, Corey Anderson. This has a potential to lead into possibly, John Jones, or in the title mix anyway, I guess. Let's start with Mick on this one. Mick, how do you see him going down when these two big boys throw in?
I'm all about Johnny Walker, to tell you the truth. I think the only danger that Johnny Walker has to himself is those fight celebrations where he nearly does the old Christopher Reeve.
Aye, man.
When he does the backflips and stuff and nearly takes his head off. But yeah, I really think I think this is going to be an absolute belter of a fight. Both of these guys are really, really looking good. But the only thing is, Johnny Walker is something else. Anson's an awesome wrestler. But the thing is with Johnny Walker fucking brings it every single time, man. In my eyes, anyway. And I'm saying Johnny Walker knockout, man. I'm going for this. I'm telling you. Don't ever come to Vegas with me, boys, because you'll lose the shirt. I'll tell you. Go big or go home, man. Be binary.
That's it, man.
Yeah, that's the one, man.
Good shout. Steve, what about you? What's your thoughts on this light heavyweight bout, mate?
Well, I mean, Johnny Walker is something. Was he a stripper or something on the side? Was that his side hustle before he started? Because he has this. When he used to do it in Brazil, his entrances, he did a full-on wearing a tie over his T-shirt and doing the stripper dance. And it reminded me, like when I edited Fighters Only and lived in Newcastle, some of the amateur fighters used to unofficially compete to have the most inappropriate camp entrance music. And eventually it had to be sort of stamped down upon, like, okay, nobody's allowed take that anymore. Because it generally...
And that was when I left that organisation.
Yeah. Well, you were our editorial assistant, Joe McNally, actually, who's having a lot of success as a coach up there alongside Alex Enland. His entrance theme was, "We don't have to take our clothes off to have a good time."
Brilliant.
I can't remember which Jackson it was. Anyway, Johnny Walker and Corey Anderson. The flying knee thing is something Johnny Walker's used a lot, so probably see it again. He also loves knees to the chin and the head from the clinch. That's, if he can get in on Corey Anderson, who likes to strike from range when he can. I can also see Johnny Walker just getting taken down, but because Corey Anderson has a lot of sort of unusual takedowns. I think he's using the kind of tight waist quite unusually to get sweeps and stuff. But he uses long strikes to his advantage, and that could frustrate Walker's kind of bullying style. He's a surprising bully for such a camp guy.
Uh-huh.
You tell him that, man.
Yeah, man, you're alone in that one. Yeah, awesome entrance music shows. The one that always sticks out for me was the amazing Paul McVeigh, Grip House. He was, in his early days, used to come out to "Do You Really Want to Hurt Me?" Which is just tremendous, man. You're walking down cars like that.
Alumnus.
I saw him fight my friend Neil McLeod, and he came out to that.
Yeah,
and
man.
Neil McLeod wasn't even wearing a box that night for that fight. That was in the Skydome when it was in Coventry. It was like the Thunderdome, man. Yeah, McVeigh was a badass. A lot of the newer guys don't realise his fights with Neil McLeod, best lightweight tilts I've ever seen in any organisation, man. Yeah. That was like a scrap outside of a chip shop with style.
Awesome, man. Finally, Matthew, your thoughts here on Anderson versus Walker?
Well, I think both of these guys could easily be John Jones' opponent next year. I think this fight probably is on the path to determine which one it will be. Johnny Walker, nice to see a nice little slight rise in competition for him. He hasn't been pushed too quickly. Some star guys get pushed far too quickly, I think, in the UFC, and then get a loss way too early on, in their rise. So it's good to see a well-established striker against Anderson, who has had 3 of his 4 losses by KO. And sort of his wins go the distance. He doesn't really like to end it. So I'm going to try and not overthink this fight this year. My predictions have been pretty trash. Some of the predictions on this show, some of the predictions I've kept in my head, and rightfully so, because they have been awful. So Walker KO, first round. Why not? I mean, this is the main event of the prelims, dude. This card is insane. If we look back to like last year's MSG card in November, it was pretty average. I think it was DC. Who was he fighting? DC was on it.
Derek Lewis, was it? No.
Yes.
Was it Derek Lewis?
That was the MSG card, and it was pretty weak. But this card this year, insane. So this main event of the prelims, it just shows that, So can't wait.
Absolutely, man. Guys, I want to go straight into co-main event because we've got a lot to get through the fan question side of things. We've got Darren Till making his middleweight debut, and they're not breaking him in easy, man. Gets Kelvin Gastelum of all people. If Till does take a loss here and loses badly, I mean, you've got to imagine that I'm not saying that's it, but it's going to have some severe repercussions. I know he's still a young guy, but like, I don't know. I don't know what a loss. That's all I've been thinking about going to this. What a loss does for Till. But I mean, Gastelum's just phenomenal since he's went to middleweight. Always struggled with that cut, welterweight. Still a great fighter, but the cut was the biggest battle. And even in the Adesanya fight, there was he had his moments there where he probably could have took that. But here he is against Darren Till, and I know Till probably still brings the size difference despite moving up. But man, I don't know. I think this is a dodgy one for the Scouse. So let's start with Matthew this time. Matthew, your thoughts when Till and Gastelum throw down?
Well, I just want to say straight away that I just really can't stand Darren Till. Never have, never will.
What is he you don't like it with Darren Till? Just the hype train? Or?
Yeah, I just don't know. But
he's a Scouser.
I like Scousers.
He just needs a win here. You know, he's moved up to a division and he hasn't been given an easy start. And you see it often in the UFC, people who move up or down and have had like a decent ranking in their old weight division, they kind of get thrown in at the deep end. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But we know what's going to happen. We know what to expect. We're going to see a stand-up game between the two. We're going to see lots and lots of strikes. Gastelum has the power to shock people. And I'm sure we're going to see the Bisping KO about 1,000 times this week leading up to the fight in the promos and everything on UFC Twitter. It's going to be a good fight. And it's not an easy stand-up for Till, coming up to a new weight division. I'm going to go with a Till KO. He has the reach. He has the height advantage. After 2 losses, you would think that could give him like a really big wake-up call. Obviously, he's going to be heavier now. The weight cut is going to be a lot easier for him. So maybe we're going to see him more focused and more dangerous. But just quickly looking into the future, I just can't see either of these guys beating Adesanya in the future, because that guy is just crazy, crazy good. And both these guys, I just think, fall short against him in the far future,
Absolutely, man. Yeah, if Adesanya ever had any doubters, I mean, you've got to imagine the Bobby Knuckles fight has just changed everyone's way of thinking. That's a good point, man. But going forward, what would happen next? Mick, how about you? I mean, like we said, a victory probably do more to restore some pride for either fighter, but with the hype train and everything else, how do you see it going down?
Well, you see, I'm the complete opposite. I really like Darren Till. He's a professional scouser. He's up there. He's up there with Ringo Starr and Cilla Black. Goes on about how much he loves Liverpool, but he's never fucking there. You know what I mean? But no, it's a real killer because if you look at what's happened, right? So Woodley and Masvidal, right? Absolute killers. So he's like. Yeah, two losses, and you're like, but when you see the names, you go, shit. And then you look at what he was doing beforehand, the 4-fight win streak. Cerrone and Stephen Thompson, no joke. You know what I mean? So, when I first saw Till, and you've got to give him the hype train because he burst onto the scene, and he was an absolute savage, and he really was. But like those last 2 losses, and Gastelum is just a little bit. It's a reach, man, because I truly believe. A lot of people are saying that it's going to go decision, but I'm not having any of that. I reckon Gastelum's going to put him on his ass, and if he does 3 losses in a row, man, I'm telling you something. Unless he's got a bit part on Geordie Shore or something, he's not going to get a fight with them again. That's the problem. It's 3 losses is usually that 3 is the magic number, as De La Soul once said. Yeah, and it looks like it could be the derail on that one. I just can't see him being able to take out Gastelum. And as you were saying about Stylebender, man, I tell you, who would want to go up against him? I'm still like, as I said, I'm like Askren now, still about Bobby Knuckles, man. I'm gutted because I'm thinking I'll never see that guy. Well, if he thinks he's going to get into title contention again, he's going to have to hope that dude retires, man.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
That's the only way, because he's not. He didn't look anywhere like that. And so whichever one of these 2 guys wins, they ain't got a chance anyway. You know what I mean? They're going to be number 1 contender for a while, I reckon. Yeah. Unless Stylebender goes full John Jones, or he ever comes out with me to a strip bar. Then I might be able to help them out. You know what I mean? Might be able to do that. But that's about it. I might be able to corrupt him. But yeah, I'm saying Gastelum, and I'm saying Gastelum in maybe 2 or 3.
Fair play, man. Steve, how about you? Your thoughts here on this bout?
Well, I mean, speaking in sort of UK MMA fanboy terms, I think it's a real shame what's happened to Darren Till, because when he first emerged, as far as I noticed him, sort of winning on the prelims, and then suddenly a Scouser fighting in Brazil, talking in immaculate Portuguese. It was like, here's this really compelling character. And then BT Sport got hold of him, and it was almost like he was being sort of prepared to be the sports personality of the year or something, which just isn't going to happen, is it? Or rather, it's just incongruous or jarring. So I think it's a bit of a shame what's happened to him in terms of him being sort of catapulted into the public eye, maybe a little too fast, and having had the sort of edge taken off him in terms of how much like snobs like me can enjoy him. I think in terms of the fight, I was at the UFC gym opening the other day, and he was there doing all the sort of video content gubbins, and he looked enormous. He looked very fit. He looked very focused and dangerous, like I think someone just said just now. And he looked big enough. You think, I hope he makes it to middleweight, like someone just mentioned again. And I think Gastelum is like really wily, isn't he? And I hope maybe Darren Till is too fluid for that power jab that Gastelum uses to work off. But Gastelum could end up, I think, maybe sort of anticipating the patterns he does have. I know Gastelum doesn't look wily, but he kind of is. I think that makes him even more surprising when it comes. Mm-hmm. Adesanya had a bit of luck with kicks and knees, and Till has a sort of similar distance advantage maybe to Adesanya, so he could maybe do a lot of damage there and put Gastelum away that way. I think it's going to be a very hard fought decision, possibly to Gastelum. But I don't think that. I don't think. I mean, as per sort of Askren this weekend, I don't think that means we will have to go. Oh, Darren Till's finished. Yeah. I think that means we can still. I hope that means we can still enjoy watching Darren Till.
No, I do too. Don't get me wrong. Like I want to see this guy. He's a young guy. He's an exciting talent, and I want to see maybe not the hype train shoved down your throat, BT Sport guy polish that you mentioned there. But I want to see. Sometimes I can't be doing with all that kind of bollocks as well. I guess I'm a snob about it. It's even just the walkouts and the entrances. I'm just fast forwarding to like once Bruce Buffer's done talking. You know what I mean? I don't want to sound like I'm such the purest of fans, but all of this is just spice on a steak. I just want a steak. I just want to get to the good bit.
Yeah.
But anyway, we'll get main event, people's main event, all set to be a classic. Diaz was back against Pettis, and hopefully I hadn't missed a beat. And Masvidal, he's been on a tear this year, probably fight of the year. 2 devastating knockouts, like we mentioned there, Darren Till and Ben Askren. And Dana is getting this BMF belt ready. Rumour is it's going to be The Rock, Dwayne Johnson in the cage to crown the new champ. I heard, man. I don't know all of that. Let's hear the panel's thoughts. We'll start with Matthew again. Penny, who you got in the main event?
Well, I just want to go off that BMF belt, right? I just want to call out my favourite quote from this week that I've heard so far about it. Loads of people have put their awe in about it. Usman said, "You guys have 24 combined losses. You're not the baddest." And in my opinion, right, it is kind of true. I think baddest is like a wrong term. I think Nate had a lot of respect anyway with like pure MMA fighters, but then he got obviously the big Conor McGregor win, and then suddenly, he's the baddest guy in the UFC. I think probably gamest fighter is probably a better term, but anywho, they both obviously love to trade strikes and can do it all day. Nate obviously has more volume than power. Masvidal probably has more the other way around. Again, both can grapple happily on the mat. Wrestling with Masvidal, competing in grappling tournaments years ago. Nate, secondary black belt. You could go off all that. You could say all the facts and figures that you can find online, right? But I don't think this fight is about that. I think this is going to just be a super fun fight. The fans aren't really going to care about the records, the stats, their weights. I think they're just going to plonk their asses down on the seat and just enjoy it for what it's going to be. Predicting a winner, I change my mind daily on it, but also I couldn't really care less who wins it.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Like it's just one of those fights where I think it's just going to be purely for fun. The Rock in the cage giving the belt, I'm not really bothered about that at all. That's stupid, but it's just going to be really fun. I think UFC probably hoping Nate can win so they can build up the Nate Conor trilogy fight, which is destined to happen. So that can be the best it can be. But again, Nate doesn't really need to win to have that trilogy fight with Conor. So I can't remember where I read it, but after the Maia fight yesterday, I read that apparently Masvidal wants to run it back. Personally, doesn't massively interest me, but I think, whoever wins this, it's going to be a fun fight. Who wins? You guys can sort it out. I don't really care. I'm just going to enjoy it.
I know. I feel bad asking people to predict, especially for a fight like this. I mean, I think it's fair to say if you're an MMA fan, then you're an MMA, then you're a fan of these fighters. You know what I mean? And it's a bit unfair to ask you to pick a side, but I'm the same, man. I just want to enjoy it for what it's worth. Steve, what about you? Main event. Your thoughts here, mate?
Well, I've warned you I'm a horrific snob, so obviously I've been going around arsehole about this BMF belt for the last couple of months. Why don't you just have a casuals Grand Prix and be done with it?
Right.
Having said that, am I looking forward to the fight? Obviously.
Yeah.
And I don't understand why the UFC don't actually do more fights like this. And you know, when they bought Strikeforce back in, what was it, 2011, 2010 or 2012? I thought, you know, in that way we all do nowadays when we like to know what's going on inside the boardrooms of all our favourite companies. And I thought what they were going to do was take Strikeforce and sort of run with it and almost sort of rebrand it as their own organisation where they could have the colourful characters who maybe couldn't cut it in the top levels athletically, but everyone still wanted to watch and still commanded a sort of main card slot, so they could put the veterans in there, they could put anyone who was a bit weird, and it was going to be awesome. And I was convinced they were going to do it, and they didn't. They just shut Strikeforce down. So if you're out there, Dana, and you are listening to the Martial Arts Chat podcast, then you need to employ me now to relaunch and rebrand Strikeforce for you. Anyway, down to the scrap. I mean, both of them sort of feed off luring the opponent into their game.
Yeah.
And it'd be interesting to see what happens there. You know, how that works out. It would be so funny if it was a very technical, inverted commas, boring fight. But whether it will not be, I shouldn't think so with Nate in there. I mean, but Masvidal, it's ironic that he's become this casual fave when he is quite a kind of technical and strategic fighter, and then sort of unleashes the violence when he has the opportunity. He is the classic wily veteran. And I've noticed his most classic wily veteran move is the old go really slow and then suddenly go really fast. You know, like you're rolling with someone who's much more senior than you, and they're kind of taking it gentle, and then suddenly they slap on a fucking armbar or something. That seems to be Masvidal's thing. Is he? But I mean, at the highest levels, there must be a real art to that. He must be like the snake off the Jungle Book, where he sort of hypnotizes and then suddenly strikes. And can I see that doing him to Nate? I mean, Nate's notorious for not getting finished, right? There was the towel incident. Apart from that, has he ever been finished?
Josh Thompson was the one, wasn't it? The head kick. But yeah, it's a rare occasion when that boy's getting finished for sure.
So can I see Masvidal finishing him? Oh, it's a real toughie, you know. It's a real toughie. It's easy to say Masvidal via cunning. Yeah, Masvidal by a strategic fight. I hope Nate by decision.
Nice, mate. Good shout. Mick, what are you expecting from the main event, mate?
Well, all you guys, you know the Don McLean, the day the music died. You know that. You know that's when Buddy Holly died, and it was the end of the innocence of the American dream. Yada yada yada. Well, literally, that should be the walkout song for this, because literally, I personally think this will actually be the best thing for the UFC, just in terms of just pure entertainment, because it has become a little bit of fanboy, you know, like when you get the real purist MMA fan who just doesn't want to see the tear up. And then if you speak to them about pride or anything like that, they go, oh, it was quite violent, really, wasn't it? And I'm like, really? Get back to those soccer kicks, man. I loved all that shit. But, it's funny because Dana's taken a leaf straight out of Vince McMahon and Scott Coker's book, right? Where he's just gone, do you know what? I'm just going to do this. Like this BMF thing, like first time I heard it, I thought it was like, Rebecca Vardy and fucking Colleen Rooney. You know, like I thought it was the BFFs where they'd fallen out with each other, because it just sounded like a really ridiculous, bitchy thing that they were going to do. And then the more I read about it, I was like, shit, this is like the hardcore title that Vince McMahon brought in. When everyone's saying this is ludicrous, it isn't real anymore, you know, it's sports entertainment. And then, as I've said before, and I'll say it again, man, whoever does the health and safety for WrestleMania, he never ever looks under the ring, does he? Because those step ladders shouldn't be there for definite, or the light bulbs, right? And of course, it turns into a really amazing fight. And this is going to be an absolute belter of a fight. I really do believe that this is the one that's going to get a load of people just watching, because you've got casual fans, but I mean people that are just going to watch it and they're going to go, What? So they're just going to get two tough guys to go at it. And it was like the lads were saying earlier. Like the real irony of this is, like Nate Diaz is unbelievable. Like his boxing's great, his jiu-jitsu's off the fucking scale. I won't say who told me this, but a friend of mine once said to me, he was like Dustin Hoffman in Rain Man, but in jiu-jitsu. He said he's just literally he goes, he's like a savant. He goes, you can't have a conversation with the guy. You know, he's like, you know, there was less chat out of him than one of the Meow brothers. You know what I'm saying, right? Yeah. But they were like, his jiu-jitsu is crazy. And like Masvidal, like you're talking about the wily veteran, like that guy is playing this part to a T. You know, the kicking off at press conferences, going crazy, just looking like he looks like a madder Andrei Arlovsky. Like he is like the maddest looking dude on the planet. And I really believe that this is going to be an absolute belter of a fight. And I really believe it's going to be it's going to be the before BMF and the after BMF era. And I really do mean that, because the one thing that we always complain about as fans and when we do the punditry is, you know, where it was quite a boring card. And like, you know, I would love to get Yokozuna and Butterbean in fucking cage. You know what I mean? Stick them on the prelims, boys. You know what I mean? That's what we want. You know, we want like Andy Kaufman doing some intergender thing. The next thing that's going to happen is Fallon Fox is going to be brought out of retirement. I'm telling you, that's what's going to happen, guys. It's going to be, but I'm literally saying it's going to go the distance. It's going to be an absolute savage war. But it's going to be one of those where you're just sitting there going, God almighty, man, this is what I got into this for. Yeah. You know, because it's going to shock a lot of people, because a lot of guys will just go in there watching it casually. And I know I'm going on about this, but it's the truth. I'm not going to say it's like Rory McDonald, Robbie Lawler, but what it's going to be is, if you don't know anything about MMA, you're going to watch that and go, shit, man, I'll watch more of this shit. Yeah. And I really do believe that's going to happen.
Yeah, it was kind of like when they did Shogun Henderson, the first one in the UFC. I mean, that fight didn't need a title. It just needed those two guys. That's all the ingredients you need. And,
but John, the mad thing was, you see, if you were just a UFC fan, you had no idea who those guys were.
True.
Like, the amount of guys I knew that were like, they didn't know who Ninja or Shogun were, and then they were like, you know, really? Yeah. They were 19 years of age in Pride.
I know.
Yeah, man. Wow.
Sorry, Mick, I really agree. I think this could be a fight which changes like not a whole era for the UFC in general, but I think a lot of casual fans are going to be watching in, because hardcore fans say, right, no, you need to watch this fight, and then people are going to go, shit, this fight is insane. And it could lead to a lot more similar fights down the line, where some people will moan and say, oh, what about rankings? But the UFC will go, nah, these two bad dudes need to fight each other no matter what.
You're totally on the ball. It's like Scott Coker. I interviewed Scott Coker a bunch of times, and every single time he used to say fun fights, and I was like, dude, they're the ones that I watch. Because I like the good matchup, but again, it's, you know, it's like, you know, when you watch a jiu-jitsu match and you see some guy just trying to do a helicopter armbar and he hasn't got a clue and he fails miserably, but you still go, dude, I'm so glad, because I've just been watching someone fight like Mick Tully for the last 5 minutes. You know, just had him in side control and just grounded him out. Yeah. Like literally, that's all I got. You know, and it might win and it's effective, but then again, so's Rohypnol. You know what I mean? So you know what I mean? Just because it's effective doesn't mean it's good. You know what I'm saying?
So do you keep Askren in the UFC, you know, for those kind of fights, or not?
I think they do, because I think Dana wants to just keep him there as a punching bag or whatever. You know what I mean? I think that's his gimmick now, isn't it? That's what it's going to be. He'll have one or two more fights. I don't think he's done. But
no, I think I don't sound like a total troll. And you know, Chris, my partner in Battles Mag, who's actually in the background now, will tell you I called it for my sub round 3. But I actually didn't think Askren did that badly, right? I mean,
I thought so too. Yeah, got the takedowns. Yeah, I agree.
Inelegantly, right? Sorry, John, go on.
No, I'm just agreeing, mate. Yeah, I thought you did all right as well. I mean, the striking was never going to be great from either guys. But yeah, Askren got a couple of takedowns and he was looking all right. It didn't look like he was in a lot of trouble.
I think the other, sure, it was like the most horrific matchup for Askren ever on paper, right? I mean, look what Maya did to Chael. What was it? First round triangle from the top.
That's right.
And look, and I mean, obviously Askren's kind of comparable there. And I mean, like, of course, the standard isn't as good in ONE or Bellator. No one remotely sensible thinks that. I suppose maybe it does have to be proven, but that mindset that because it's not the UFC, it's better. Yeah, sure. I it's great watching a different production. I sometimes enjoy watching one or Bellator more than I do the UFC, but you know, it doesn't mean it's as good athletically. No, obviously it doesn't. And so yeah, it's the point is proven, but I don't see why Askren can't hang around in the low levels.
No, I agree, man, totally. Guys, it's time for the final part of the show. My favourite, answering fan questions. I'll remind the panel of the one rule we have in the podcast, and it's simply don't wait your turn, guys. The floor is yours, so if we're ready, we'll start with, let's start with Facebook questions this week. Tom Heffernan is asking, has the BMF belt idea turned the UFC into WWE?
We've already kind of answered that partly, but I don't think so. It's just a lot. Half people will say, "Oh no, we need to stick to the rankings. We need to be proper about this. You know, we need to make it, you know, a proper sport." People will say, you know, a proper, you know, ranking system and stuff. But this can be fine occasionally. Like obviously, not every fight just being like, you know, ridiculous like that. But the occasional fights like this, where just two bad guys go against each other, why not? I mean, it's a one-off belt. They claim it's a one-off belt. I'm sure Masvidal or Diaz will try and defend it, you know, unofficially. But yeah, why not? It's it's cool.
I'm telling you right now, anybody who says that it's certainly not bad, for MMA. And I'll tell you what, it will not be bad for. It won't be for the guys who are actually doing the fighting, because, like, you know, Dana White is on record as saying he really admires Vince McMahon. And we've talked about this in previous shows. Like, Vince McMahon, man, first of all, he's 75 years of age and he's fucking jacked, man. You know what I mean? So I'll listen to that guy any day of the week anyway. But secondly, more importantly, he is killing it when it comes to business. And Dana knows the score. You know, UFC's okay. You know, as a business, yeah, it's $1 billion industry. Yeah. But it's nowhere near as big as it could be. And I really do believe that MMA can be huge and everyone's going to do well out of it. And it is, yeah, it's a shit show and a bit of a gong show. But if this fight turns out to be an absolute belter of a fight as well, you know what's going to happen? There's going to be actually a little bit of a rub of like credibility to that belt. That's going to be the mad thing, you know. Like, I don't think Mick Foley's going to get thrown off the end top of like a 4-foot cage or anything. But if he did, imagine how good that would be. You know what I mean? It would be really, really good. But yeah, I think it's good. I think it's going to be good.
Setting them on fire with barbed wire and shit.
But yeah, we all said a lot about it already. I think when they actually said they were going to actually make a belt was when that's a bit uncharacteristic of almost like a sort of thawing of relations between Dana White and the internet. And so that surprised me. Do I think the fight itself is about... No, of course not. Of course not. And more of the same, please. Yeah,
sure, man.
And I think, you know, keep UFC essentially proper, you know, fights. But to have essentially, you are selling tickets to fans, so you have got to keep a little bit of entertainment there, and you know, you've got to keep it sort of interesting to more casual fans. You've got to do that, but keep it essential. Keep it, you know, proper fights. Keep a ranking system which is roughly adhered to, and you know, everything's good.
Yeah. I'm going to speak up for the poor old dads taking their kids to jiu-jitsu lessons and their wife doesn't like the word motherfucker.
But that's
a pain in the backside.
That's where you're going to have to just have a bit of license, you know. We'll have to work out. Put that one out for the question for next week, for next show, John. Yeah,
you got it, man.
What can BMF stand for? Yeah.
That's a very good question, man. I think I might pin that on the page. Chris Allen, also on the BMF title, he's asking, will the BMF title be a one-off or a continuous title in the UFC? We kind of touched on this earlier as well, but a one-off thing, guys?
Why not make it continuous?
Another one today. What is it? The nice motherfucker championship. Who are they going to have? Damien
Wonderboy Thompson, wasn't it?
Darren. So there's many opportunities there for the perverse marketeer.
Well, yeah, right. Think about it this way, man. we're just going to go deep on this, boys. What about just getting Norman Bates and Edmund Kemper to be like the literal bad motherfuckers? You know what I'm saying? Have I just gone too dark on this or what? Yeah, I'm watching far too much Channel 5 at the moment. But yeah, the incest. That instead of the interim incest title, you know, where are we going to stop with this? Jesus, but yeah, I reckon I can't think of them making anything else. The bit like BMF's pretty bad, isn't it? You know what I mean?
You can always count on Mick Tully to bring it to another level, man. It's not Michael Jackson or Chris Benoit.
I used to train with Bob Breen, who's a sort of Jeet Kune Do sort of godfather in.
Bob's my man, yeah, he's a great guy.
Yeah, and I mean he's very good with like weapons. I think he did a lot of the weapon training for 300, and he does.
Yes, he did
stuff,
and for Deadpool as well. Yeah,
and he had to be dissuaded out of competing in a sort of knife, a sort of knife cage fighting champion.
Yeah,
hear about this?
For real? Yeah, for real. I know
tell me.
That's the truth. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
But maybe it's only a short step. I'm all for sort of rollerball style, but put them on roller skates and put.
Well, do you know? No, now you've got me, man. I swear to God, I wanted rollerball to be a thing so I could wear a white suit and a white fedora hat like Jonathan E. Man. Honestly, James Caan is like a legitimate. His son is Scott Caan. He's like I think he's a black belt in PJJ now, but. Jimmy Caan, the actor, he was like a legitimate karate guy when like when karate was like a thing. You know what I mean? When those guys used to break concrete blocks and shit. Yeah, man, he was something else. Yeah, Bob Breen's the man. Give a big shout out to Bob. I love that guy.
I'll pass on your best.
Yeah, he's the man. Love him.
James Caan. I just think of James Caan's ankles getting shattered in that Stephen King one. What was that again with the psycho bitch? You know the one I mean?
Yeah, Paul Harris. Yeah. Oh, it wasn't Pal Harris, was it? Yeah, it was Kathy Bates. Yeah, another psycho bitch that rips your ankles off, man. Yeah, ruined more feet than polio, that dude. I swear to God, man. I'll tell you what. Oh, Paul Harris is like, he's like Oscar Pistorius' worst nightmare, isn't he?
Jesus Christ, the God.
Yeah, come on, man. I don't be defending that guy, man. He killed his girlfriend. You know what I mean? You're making me look like the bad guy here, John. Yeah. I'll tell you what, that's the last time she buys him socks for Valentine's Day. I'll tell you that much.
There you go. I remember when that court case came out, and my mother, who's quite, she's cut from the same cloth as yourself, Mick, from that. She's got that Irish, cynical, no filter. And she's like, if I was having an argument with him, just chuck his legs out the window. What's he going to do then? And it's like, it's a good logic, but I don't think I'd let you say that, Mum. Anyway.
Oh, man. I tell you what, when I teach seminars, right, if I heel hook people, I always say, I'm going to turn you into Oscar Pistorius or Heather Mills, right? Yeah, man. The Heather Mills one's sort of got lost now, you know. People don't really realise. Yeah, she needs to get back in the public eye, or I need to update my material, man.
Oh, that's funny. Anyway, Colin Crandall, do you think that Dana was gutted about Askren losing this fight and now 2 in a row? No, obviously not. No, I don't.
He's always going to be a little bit disappointed if somebody who moves the needle isn't winning. When you're in the mainstream MMA media, you desperately want the star or the good looking bloke to win, so the whole business will grow and become more marketable. When you're a fan, you want to lose. And you want Dana to be upset. So will he be upset? I think he'll. I think he'd rather Ben Askren was winning and was a big star. Yeah, I think he's probably desensitized to everything like that these days. Though.
Dana White is a bull donking man. I'm telling you, he does not give a fuck. If you want to talk about a guy who should be getting the bad motherfucker title, I think it's Dana White. You know what I mean? He's just lending that belt to those guys. Realistically speaking, I think where initially he wanted Askren to come in. You know what I mean? I think he had him sort of dressed up, you know, to be a little bit of a curly-headed sort of Tim Kennedy type, you know, like all-American hero. And then he just turned into like it's pretty much a bit of a heel turn, isn't it? As they say in wrestling. And if he makes money, you know, you got to remember at the end of the day, you turn up to watch Conor win or you turn up to watch him lose. The thing is, you turn up. You know what I mean? And I think if Dana can eke out a bit where, you know, Askren will get battered and people will still pay, I think he'll just keep going. I really do believe that.
It's very similar to Colby. You know, he's doing this thing where he said something horrible about Dana. He said, "Oh, if I win the title, Dana isn't putting that belt anywhere near me. I'll smack him in the head with the title if he comes anywhere near me." But this sort of rivalry is building it up because the fans hate Colby anyway. But then he's kind of appealing to the fans because some fans don't really like Dana and he chats shit all the time. Yeah. It's just a board game of getting fans on board no matter what. If fans want to see you win, cool. If fans want to see your face getting punched in, again, they're still buying tickets to see you. So,
yeah, the heels put more bums on seats than the blue. They like it on the spreadsheet. Yeah,
absolutely. Kieran Cobley asks, Conor's latest stunt is all talk. He's in court for sexual assault in Ireland, so how the fuck will he get a visa to compete in Vegas in January? And even if he can do that, even if he can do that first fight, I certainly don't think we'll see him do the second and third ones.
Yeah, because he said he wanted to fight the winner of Nate Masvidal, didn't he? Afterwards, and then he said he wanted to have So it's a good point though. Will he get a visa? Americans seem to be very quick to pull away a visa for anything, and he's got like 2 or 3 court cases for different sexual assaults piled up, and the punching on the old guy in the bar. It's just like he does all these things which really put the public, you know, against him. Because we want to see him focused, we want to see him in the octagon, we want to see him just back to sort of 2015, 16 kind of levels. And he's not doing it. And then he's saying, well, actually, no, I am going to fight to try and get those fans back who he's turned them against him. But will he get the visa? That's the question.
I don't think, first of all, he'll get a visa because this shit that he's got into now, it's going to stick, right? Literally years ago I used to do stunt comedy and I used to go on about how Mel Gibson is now madder than any character that he ever played. You know, we know when he was Martin Riggs, you know what I mean? You go, wait, did you see that movie in him recently where he got pulled over by those 2 cops and he came out with a load of like anti-Jew thing and then he beat up his ex-girlfriend who was like a Russian mobster's fucking ex-hooker. Oh shit! Sorry, that's his life. Well, you know that's literally that's a Lethal Weapon 6, man. But I think Mel Gibson, like the same way that Conor McGregor, Mel Gibson, like he wished he was still living in that trailer with the dog munching on the gun every night. You know what I mean? Because his life turned into something infinitely worse than that. And Conor now, it's a real shame because. I remember when the first Diaz fight was there, and I was in New York for the build-up for it, and he was king of New York. Like I think I said to you, John, that I was in Times Square, and he flashed up on the billboard, and I turned around to my wife and I went, "That kid was a plumber 4 years ago. Can you believe that?"
Yeah, that's amazing.
And he was king of New York, and his banter was great, and the Cholo gang signs and the balloon animals. He was coming out with patter that I wish I could come out with. And I'm a drop funny motherfucker, you know what I mean? But I was like, this guy is hilarious. And then next thing you know, he just took it straight out of the playbook, man. He just went, like, apart from getting the white tiger, he literally is like a white Mike Tyson now. You know what I mean? He's got the Desiree Washington thing going on, like, which I'm not making a joke about at all, because if he's guilty of that, I swear to God that his next shit's a hedgehog. And when he's in jail, he gets the old angle 5 every night. You know what I'm saying? But I just can't see him coming back from this. And if he does, what's that say about the sport, man? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's so weird that he sort of goes for that gangster sort of appearance for UFC appearances in his fighting career. But then he's also trying to 50-50 that with this, I'm a good family man. I have 2 kids now. I've really grown up. But then with that, his sexual assaults build up and all these mad things in public. And like, it was just when he was at his best in the UFC with the trash talk and stuff, he was great. Even for the Khabib fight, he was sweating through his jacket. He was stumbling through his words. Money, alcohol and coke has turned that man into something which he probably never believed he'd turn into. And it's sad, really.
Have you ever seen that clip where he's gone out with all his mates and they're all wearing Conor McGregor masks and they're all like off their heads, right?
Yeah.
That, and they're all dancing, and then one guy runs up and pulls the mask off. It's like one of those paper masks on his head, and it's Conor McGregor, and he is gurning like he's in the Happy Mondays, man. He is off his nut, and literally, I looked at that point and I was like, "It's over."
The party's over.
And yeah. You just don't bounce back from that. You know, there literally is there's a plimsoll line, and when you go underneath that, you know, the next thing you know, you've got Leonardo DiCaprio hanging off the back, man, and fucking Kate Winslet's fat ass on the door. You know what?
Yeah, there was room for two in that door.
Yeah, there was easily room. Yeah.
And what I was just saying about the MMA business and how, you know, if you're in the business, you kind of want it to go well. Yeah. If some of those court cases come off, we're all for the high jump.
Oh yeah, I'm telling you, Conor McGregor's sexual assault and CTE, mate. They're the two things that will get MMA eventually, because you know, you really try and sell that to your missus. You know, my wife's still working.
It's such a classic, you know, combat sports.
A
tale. Remember when he was just transitioning from Cage Warriors to the UFC, and he suddenly had all that US media profile, and he just came across so well with that balance of the sort of holistic nature of martial arts with his gob as well, and his
course,
yes. And to think of that being tarnished is just so sort of horribly predictable, isn't it?
Well, it is, and like the real killer is, it's like I've said this on several occasions. When you have the calming and very, very wise influence of John Kavanagh in your life, and you can still turn into a train wreck, I don't know. There's no hope for you, because John's one of the most measured men you're going to meet. You know what I'm saying? Right, and even he wasn't able to keep him under control.
Yeah, but it's when the money and kind of like what Matthew was saying with the coke, when everything else gets involved more and more, how much is Kavanagh an influence in your life anymore? You know, he's probably not around as what he was.
Well, he isn't. And then
seriously brought the guy up when he was you know, coming through.
Oh yeah. You know, literally, you know, Conor at one stage there was sounding like fucking Kanye West. You know what I mean? And that, like when you start talking like that, you know, it was funny. It was like when the boys were saying earlier, you know, he you know, he was very binary. He was this, you know, he was this gangster, and at the same time, he was a family man. And I'm like, oh, what, like every sociopath I've ever met then. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I just took a big article about CTE. At the moment, I got to speak to a lot of good experts on sort of transgressive male behaviour and stuff like that. And one of them said it's a sort of boundary thing, which if you ever, you know, any experience of therapy is a, you know, classic therapy term. It's a boundary thing, and not only is he having trouble accepting boundaries, he already knows that there are no boundaries.
Yes,
he has been allowed to get away.
Well, you see, that's a really interesting point, because we're being quite flippant about it and saying, you know, that he's conscious of everything that he's doing, but how about this is a symptom of something bigger, you know? And I'm not saying that the guy's brain damaged and going mad or anything, but what I'm saying is, you know, no impulse control.
Decisions,
bad decision making. And we're going, oh yeah, boxing. You go, oh yeah, what's that got in common? Oh yeah, they both get smashed in the head. Oh, what about footballers? What about George Best? Oh yeah, he might have headed a ball a few times. And then next thing you know, you're thinking, Jesus Christ, man, maybe what's the one common denominator? These guys are all taking trauma to their heads. You know what I mean? It's an interesting point. Obviously, it's one for a much longer show. But yeah, I think it's something that we should look at. Yeah,
absolutely, man. It doesn't get spoken about enough. I've said this many times on the podcast for sure, man. We've got lots to get through. Let's take one more from Facebook before we move on to Twitter questions. Michelle Doherty is asking, Woodley versus Leon Edwards rumoured in January. Thoughts?
Yeah, that's going to be rumoured for the co-main of Conor's apparent return.
All right.
I mean, sign me up. I mean, I was a fan of Woodley anyway.
The BMF belt, isn't it? Sorry,
I was a fan of Woodley anyway, to be honest. You know, he was a bit boring when he had to be, but he was defending a title at the end of the day. It would be nice to see him back. I think he's nowhere near done. He had one loss and he's been off for a while. he could come back stronger, and it'll be a great step up for Leon Edwards.
I'm a fan of Woodley as well. It's just when things don't go his way, everything's racist. That's what fucking does man out.
Yeah, he bitches, isn't he? Yeah.
But there you go.
Yeah, that I tell you what, I think that'll be a good. That's going to be a. If it does come off, that'd be a good one. It's a great one for Edwards, man.
All right, I hope.
I love Rocky Edwards, man.
Yeah, man, that's a good one for him, man.
Let's move on to Twitter questions. We've got Atom Gotov. Askren's UFC career has been as successful as Brendan Schaub's venture into comedy.
True that, man.
Is he still doing the old stand-up, Brendan Schaub? I know he pushed from his boy there, Joe Rogan. Is he?
Awful, man.
I've not seen any. Is it bad? Is it?
It's like you getting your teeth pulled. It's like a best man speech. It's just bombing.
Oh.
Yeah. Like literally, Theo Von saves that guy's ass. That's it. Theo Von saves him. Yeah. So yeah, Shab can't. He hasn't got the chops for it, man.
Fair enough. At Teep Chanel, what would be the perfect soundtrack for a Henry Cejudo film? I don't know.
I don't know what you heard about me, but I'm a motherfucking PIMP. I don't know. I'm a 50-year-old man. I shouldn't be rapping. Jesus. Yeah.
Yeah, I've no idea how to answer that. Soundtrack? Not even just one. Not walkout music. A soundtrack? Jesus. I've no idea. I'll take a hard pass on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I ain't seen that film.
Yeah, man. Triple C. This summer. Moving on. At Whistleblower MMA, right. What next for Rory McDonald?
Hopefully he'll go back to wearing pink Ralph Lauren cardigans again. I was
the trench coat, Inspector Gadget.
Yeah, absolutely. But before everyone started calling him actual Patrick Bateman, and then he thought, I better tone this down a bit.
I'm telling you, man. Met him a couple of times. He is a gent.
I think he's awesome.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Great guy, great fighter. He's all in for Jesus. That's the only thing that I'm really like when they were doing the old serial killer Ed King, because he was one of the guys that they did actually try and put what's it they say in wrestling when they try and give him the gimmick, and literally the Red King was like, what? So he bleeds a lot. That's his gimmick? You know what I mean? It's like something off fucking Mystery Men. That really bad movie years ago. But I hope he can bounce back from it. But the guy's got miles on the clock, man. Because he's only relatively a young guy, but man, he has had some serious wars. And I'll tell you something, man. When you look into his eyes, it's like looking into a fucking shark's eyes, man. Swear to God, stare into the abyss, lest the abyss stares back into you, man. He is fucking brutal. I hope he can resurrect it, but at the same time, I think he's been pretty smart with his money. So, and he didn't he looked awful. If you want to know the truth, I was in bits when I just watched it.
It sounds like he's had another slightly inglorious end for an otherwise glorious fighter. I think he could have been one of those guys who's sort of always in the top five and always competing and always, having magnificent fights at the top of the bill. And he probably could have done that for a long time, but it sounds like he's had enough. Yeah.
I don't think he wants it anymore. And the other one as well is it's like, if it wasn't going to end badly, it wasn't going to end. You know what I mean? This is, again, it's the cliche of combat sports, isn't it? There's a time when you go, do you know what, mate, get out now. It's from that performance, it's still fresh in my mind though, because I've just watched it and I'm like, man, this is not great. This wasn't.
Everyone starts demanding Lima in the UFC.
Yeah, it's quite. If this is the end, it's not going to be it's not a great footnote, is it? You know what I mean?
I know. Great fighter, man. I've always loved Ronnie McDonald. I love the Ronnie McDonald that is a wonderful student of Verasahabi, follows a game plan. You watch McDonald versus Ellenberger or Damian Maia or any of these fights. But I think we were talking about this, potentially being with Darren Till. There could be a time where you run into someone and that guy takes your soul, and that happens with him in those two fights, man, with Robbie Lawler. You know, I mean, he was never the same again after that. Anthony Pettis and Rafael dos Anjos was another one that comes to mind, although Pettis has made a difference at welterweight, but there's just, what's the Bill Burr line? There's parts of his soul, his cubes floated away now. He's never going to go back to that, man.
Yeah. Oh, man, don't go on the Bill Burr, man. Then we go deep. Bill Burr's my man, I tell ya. I follow that guy.
He's hilarious. 2 more from Twitter before we wrap up. First one at Degenerate Dane asks, thoughts on Fame MMA and the Little People show?
I can come in here. One of the YouTubers fighting on Fame MMA is training in my class.
All right.
No.
The fight, yeah, JMX. And 2.5 mil YouTube followers. We can all but dream, lads. And he's enormous, right? He's enormous and he's very athletic. Hands aren't that bad. Seems like a super nice guy. I trained in martial arts for 15 years before somebody said I was allowed to have a fight.
Wow.
And even then, the head trainer remains rather circumspect. And so I'm surprised. I mean, what if someone gets fucking hurt?
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it?
Is it a professionally run? I'm just a bit confused with what the setup is. Are they considered professional fights? So these guys are going to start having professional records? Is it a run by? Is it like I can't think of the word, but is it checked properly as like a UFC show would be in the UK?
Sanctioned.
Sanctioned. Yeah.
But I mean, you guys know what super newbies are like. They can suddenly do something which is like completely against the rules and completely dangerous. And they don't know that it's against, they don't know they're not supposed to be doing it, or they might do it in desperation. I mean, to be honest, this wasn't what I was thinking. The first thing I thought of Fame MC was, what if somebody dies? The first thing I thought was blimey. But I've suddenly started thinking about it. What do you guys who are like?
You want us to take that death one? I mean, but you're right, though. You're right. That should be a question that's asked, because this is a serious, what's more brutal? This is why we love it. What's more brutal than mixed martial arts? It's a brutal sport, man. And if you don't take it seriously...
Are they having elbows? Are they having elbows?
John.
Are they going to wear those RDX like sparring gloves that amateurs wear? I mean, I don't know.
I'll tell you, you know what's more dangerous? What's more dangerous than MMA? MMA mixed in with postcode beef. As I've said before, I'm that old. I thought postcode beef was like pulled pork. I thought it was some fucking hipster meal. You know what I'm saying? The next step will be... it'll be like JME versus, I don't know, Dre or something. I'm showing my age, I don't know. But when you the one thing that I've seen with this, it was the first thing with that Aaron Chalmers when he first came in, and I saw those absolute muggy twats who are his mates, like trying to jump in the cage afterwards, like these women, and like you don't know where you are. Cage Warriors last night, great show in Birmingham. A couple of my mates got smacked in the head on the way out the door from guys from Leicester who thought they were football casuals, all right? And they got into a ruck, and my mates are pretty tough dudes, so they gave them a bit of a hiding, right? Yeah. But the thing is, the one thing I hate about doing anything to do with like a live show is if I'm there and I'm doing anything judging or doing any commentary or MCing, as soon as I get paid, I'm out the door. Because it's full of right muggy twats causing mayhem, right? Who don't know how to behave themselves after a load of beer and watching a load of rooks. So, so the next step is we're going to get a couple of lads who do a bit of grime, and they've got like YouTube guys following them. And then next thing, what's going to be worse? Well, we're just going to throw in a bit of a drive-by shooting here. How's that, lads? It wasn't dangerous enough. You know what I mean? No, what we're going to do is we're going to have this, and it, like we were talking seriously there earlier. You've got young men, like all full of bravado, and what it is their mouths are writing checks that their bodies can't cash, and they haven't got the skills to back up their attitude. Mm-hmm. And what's going to happen is something will happen, and that's another issue that I really don't think anyone's looked into. It's because. Yeah, I said I'm a 50-year-old man, and I chat some awful shit on YouTube, online. You know what I mean? And I it escalates. and that's what we have to watch out for. Especially in this, it's not the fight itself, and it's not even the protagonist, because 9 times out of 10, those lads will just they'll put the effort in and they'll train, because it's a sense of pride with them. But you can't control your entourage, can you?
At least Aaron Chalmers has actually quit all the social media stuff and actually gone into a full-time training for it. It's
but
like
you know what? I really respect the guy for that, because he went down and he's been down in Birmingham with the boys and he's training. And from what the guys are telling me down there, he really does apply himself. And he's like, there's absolutely no way I would even be anywhere near here if it wasn't for the fact that I was on that ridiculous show. But like, he's using it for the right way. But I really don't think, the BMF title's a bad thing. That's a joke. They're getting two YouTubers kick the shit out of each other. It's not those guys, by the way. I have to really be make that point. It's not the guys. It's what that brings with it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I
don't know if you guys agree.
Just to confront how the general public relates to combat sports, and it's a bit like Mayweather McGregor, where the average dick thought that this was who was best in a fight.
Yeah,
it wasn't who was best in a mixed martial arts match or who was best at boxing. It was like who was the hardest. And obviously it was awful having to listen to them talk about it. I suppose at least with this, everyone knows it's a bit rubbish, but of course it's going to be disappointing watching this rack up millions of views.
You make a great point. It's like the whole. There's no all publicity. What is it they say? All publicity is good publicity. And I'm like, tell Peter Sutcliffe that one. You know what I'm saying? It's not really. You know what I mean? Just because you're famous doesn't mean that's a good thing. You know what I'm saying?
It will make millions, though. It will make absolutely millions.
Savage, yeah. Imagine being a legitimate promoter and seeing those numbers at the end of the night. You'd be looking for that sneezing cat and the panda to go at each other off YouTube, wouldn't you? or Johnny bit my finger. You know what I mean? Imagine finding that kid now. You know what I mean? It'd be great.
Well, and there are a couple of YouTubers like suddenly drafted in to give their opinion on Cage Warriors last night on the broadcast.
Really?
Like that? Yeah. Couple of French kids in very bright tracksuits.
Wow. Really? Man. I tell you what, I only go on YouTube for I go on YouTube for makeup tutorials. Literally, that's the only thing I go on it for, lads. Trust me.
BGG techniques and fucking stuff about Brexit.
No, man. After Submissions 101, man, I never go near YouTube anymore. When I found out that guy was a purple belt, I was dying.
Dracolino? Or who is that?
Do you remember BJ? Do you remember the guy who did BJJ? He did like Submissions 101 back when the YouTube first kicked off. This guy was getting like 10 million hits on all his techniques. No. And then they found out that he was like I don't think he even was a purple belt. I'll have to find his name. To be continued. That could be a question for next week.
I may have his videos in some of my favourites. No wonder they don't want
I'll tell you what, man. I still use that. I tell you what, John, I still use the Peruvian necktie that I learned off it, man. And every time I do it, I'm like, I'm going to get caught out one day.
Yeah.
They're going to be like,
been doing a bit of yoga off the internet. Been doing a bit of yoga off the internet, and thought it was fine. Go to a load of martial arts classes, so can't manage yoga classes as well. The other day, I'm talking to a yoga instructor at somebody's birthday party. I say, yeah, I do it off the internet, and of course she was, oh no, that's not real. It's not proper. You can't be doing it. I thought, God, yeah, shit. Like I'm a fucking online yoga blue belt.
But all I'm going to say is, boys, I've subscribed to that Kama Sutras channel, man. Nice. And it's absolutely great. It's even better if you can get another person in the room.
There you go. Hey.
Boom.
One more from Twitter before we wrap up, guys. Else for Elf is asking thoughts on Devin Powell's finish. Boy gives the thumbs up, then tries to single leg the ref. I haven't seen this. Devin Powell? Is this Bellator or something? No,
I don't know. I'm going to have to Google this.
I'm on my phone just now. Talk amongst yourselves. We'll cut this bit out.
No. Let's see it.
D-E-V-I-N, Powell, P-O-W-E-L.
Devin, D-V-I-N.
I-N.
and that's
Yeah.
Devin Powell.
Oh my good God!
I've got a Bellator. You watching as well? Right, yeah.
No, I mean, he's just some ginger-looking dude. Yeah, I tell you what, he's got some. He's got some savage-looking tats on him.
It looks like he's in a DARS. He gives a thumbs
Is
up.
it a DARS? Is it?
And he lets go. Is that it? He does. Oh, yeah. So he grabs the referee's leg. The referee falls down. He's still waving it off as he's getting single-legged. Oh, he's moving his side control. Right, so the guy was in a DARS. Hold on, let's wind that back. So the Devin Powell, I don't know what one Devin Powell is, but there's a guy in a DARS choke. He's flat out, but he's giving a thumbs up here to the referee. And then the referee sort of breaks it up. The guy just lets go. And then as the guy who was getting DARS sort of gets up in single-leg takedowns the ref, and he's still trying to wave off.
This is Bellator.
Yes, I think this must be recent. Then is this last from the weekend? Yeah.
But no, this must have been one of the ones I literally must have fast forwarded to get to the Rory fight on this. Yeah, it's. I'm gonna have to have a look at this. There's no way I can give my opinion, but you know what? You don't finish until the fat lady sings. You know what I mean? Or Bruce Buffer comes out. So I don't know.
Oh, well done.
The thumbs up thing's so dodgy, especially since that the Robbie Lawler Ben Askren thing. There's been a couple of those where thumbs up, and then what do you do there as a ref? You see a thumbs up, I guess you got to let it go, right? You got to let it ride out.
Got to leave it. You've got to leave it, surely, because you're not going to be out and thumbing up, are you?
What's the gag? If the doctor asks you what day it is, say Saturday. Every couple needs to be 99% Saturday.
There you go, man.
Yeah, I don't know. The thumbs up I don't get. Every time I ever see a thumbs up, I'm always very wary. Anyway, ever since I saw that wanker Paul McCartney pulling it off a few times, the old double thumbs up. Whenever you see him, as soon as I see anyone do a thumbs up, I always think they're a rat.
What was that? Wanking off Paul McCartney?
No, Jesus, what
did you say?
Oh my God. No, I said I've never trusted anyone who throws the thumbs up after I saw that wanker Paul McCartney doing it. Have you ever what? Google Paul McCartney now.
I'm doing it right
every
now.
Single picture. Yeah, picture him right, and he's always got thumbs up in his pictures.
I give the thumbs up to drivers who stop at zebra crossings.
Yeah,
stop.
I do the,
there's a ton of murdered hitchhikers who met Ted Bundy, who reckon the thumbs up was probably the last thing he could have ever done. You know what I mean?
Speaking of referee bravery, Rich Mitchell's a fireman. He was at Grenfell.
Wow.
In the tower disaster, yeah.
Wow, man.
Yeah.
God almighty, that is bravery.
Yeah.
I just googled Paul McCartney, and there's a picture of Mick Tully wanking him off.
I tell you what. You see Paul McCartney, right? So there's Paul McCartney, right? He's married Heather Mills, right? So he's married this woman. He's not he might have 800 million, but he's not the smartest man in the world, is he? Right? He marries a woman, finds out that she can have one leg in the bed and the other leg on top of the wardrobe, and divorces her. You know what I mean? And she was a porno star. He's a man's ridiculous. But you know what I mean? Talk about her. She was really lucky, wasn't she? Talk about landing on your foot. Boom, boom. Hey.
She was a porno star?
Try the veil.
She was in a porn? She was a porno star?
Yeah, she was a soft porn actress, wasn't she? But she was. Yeah, she was. It was awful. It was some of the worst work I ever saw in my life. I was allegedly, as a friend of mine told me. Yeah. She was a proper spoofer, man. If you ever look into her history, oh my good God, she's like she makes Donald Trump look fucking respectable. Trust me.
Tremendous.
Yeah, she even lied about her foot. You remember when Diana died and she tried to go around raising money for landmines and stuff?
I do remember that.
Yeah. She got ran over by a motorbike into a skip on the King's Road in London. So she wants to ban anything. It should be motorbikes or fucking skips. You know what I mean?
Jesus Christ.
What was that harsh?
No.
Too soon?
To be expected. It's just
to be expected.
I'm just trying to find a way, a segue to finish up the end of the show. So we'll end on
me and Paul McCartney. me, Paul McCartney, and his wife are down the three-way. Yeah.
Oh, there you have it, guys. UFC 244 this weekend. BMF belt on the line, New York. So many great fights. MSG can't wait. Thank you to everyone who got in touch with some awesome questions tonight. Remember, we're back next Sunday. We've got a reaction show, so be sure to let us know your thoughts. Send us in your questions, comments, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, the lot. Just search for Martial Arts Chat. In the meantime, let me thank our panel here today, starting with the awesome Mr. Mick Tully. Mick, it's been a blast as always, my friend. Let everyone know about Mick's Martial Arts Podcast, and thanks again.
Yeah, you catch me on every platform there is. Just Google Mixed Martial Arts, you'll get me there. Also, Weymouth Magazine, we've just got a great interview coming out with Kelvin Gracie about him training in Wing Chun, believe it or not, with the legendary YouTuber himself, Randy Williams, who's a fucking nice guy. He's one of the funniest guys ever. We've got to get him on the show soon, right? I talked to Kelvin Gracie about how Wing Chun's going to help him, hopefully, in his MMA career, and more importantly, the whole controversy with Keenan Cornelius and Hickson Gracie only being a tough purple belt by today's standards.
Oh, wow.
So that
sounds awesome.
Pardon me?
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, it is. It's going to be good. Kywan's unbelievable, by the way. Kywan's one of the nicest guys I have met, and he's a really, really cool guy. If you get down to London, go to Roger Gracie's. He's normally teaching most of the classes there. He's a great guy down there.
Awesome stuff, man. I thank you to Mr. Steve Beale. Steve, it's great finally getting you on, sir. Let everyone know it's all about Battles Magazine.
Thanks, guys. Cheers. Thanks for having me on my inaugural Martial Arts Chat podcast. Yeah, I'm from Battles Combat Sports Journal, where it, inverted commas, design-led magazine, or as people my age would say, so coffee table magazine for martial arts and boxing. You can get it in like sort of specialist magazine stores and bookshops. I had it ready on my phone. We're in Selfridges, we're in Magazine Brighton in Brighton, Magazine Heaven in Rushden, Village Bookstore in Leeds, Papersmith in Bristol, or you can get it from battlesoflondon.com.
Awesome stuff, man. So Mr. Matthew Penny. Matthew, as always, massive thank you. Let our people know about Purely MMA and where to follow you online, sir.
Gents, it's been a pleasure. I've had a great laugh. So yeah, you can catch me at Purely MMA on Twitter and purelymma.co.uk. The website, there isn't a lot going on at the moment, but lots going on on social media. Lots of discussion points happening, and I live tweet every UFC event mostly. So yeah, pleasure, John, as always, and here's the next one.
If you've liked this podcast, be sure to subscribe on iTunes. We're on every Sunday, 8:30pm, talking MMA. Go to facebook.com/Martial Arts Chat. Give us a like there. Or follow us on Twitter at Martial Arts Chat. I'm Jon McElroy, and I'll catch you next time on the Roundtable.
Get the brands you love at littlewoods.com. Nothing beats a winter night in with the family and a box set. Get the LG 4K 43-inch TV with HDR for an unmissable $369. All with inclusive delivery and free returns. Hurry, offer ends 7th of November. Own it. Shop now at littlewoods.com.
Hello, I'm Maisie Adam, and you're about to listen to a set performed by me at the Cavendish Comedy Club in London. Oh, I'm terrible with my money. I am. I'm absolutely terrible. Like I can't play Monopoly because it hits too close to home. Honestly, because what it is just going around London going, can't afford that, can't afford that. I've got nothing in the bank, and I can only dream of winning 50 quid in a beauty contest.
You might think you're terrible with money, but here's something. Did you know it's easier to save if you do it the day you're paid? Payday Save Day. Building a society of savers nationwide.